I'm going to walk you through a system that you can use if you find your mind going blank during competition. Now, I got this question last week about how to keep your mind from going blank during competition. And this is something that I see a lot in the athletes I work with within one-on-one coaching. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about why this happens because I think it's more important to focus on the system. But I do want to mention that one of the main reasons this does happen is because of anxiety. If you're experiencing a lot of anxiety when you play, you can think of this like the gears in a machine going 1,000 miles a minute, and that is your thoughts just racing and racing and racing and racing and racing. And it's that your thoughts are going so fast that they end up blanking out, or your mind ends up blanking out. It's a little bit like the machine overheating because the gears are just turning so fast. Your mind is racing so much that your mind overheats, blacks out, your mind goes blank. But now what can you do about this, right? Because if your mind goes blank, you end up underperforming because this is where you perform unconsciously, but not unconsciously in a good way like you do when you're in the flow state. This is unconscious where you find yourself performing in a way to where after the game you think, why did I do that? How did I play like that? I don't even remember playing. It was so terrible. And so what we want to do with this system is we need to work on calming your mind and simplifying your thinking. In order for us to do that, we need to work on keeping you more conscious. Now, this is interesting because I talk a lot about trying to take the mind out of the equation, just letting yourself perform, letting your skills take over. But when you find yourself blanking out or blacking out when you play, we need to keep yourself conscious, right? We need to keep you thinking and focused on what you are doing. That doesn't mean you need to think about 1,000 different things because we know that that's probably the cause it is, right? That's causing your mind to go blank. But we do need to focus your mind on one thing. So with this system, I encourage you to follow it the way that I outline it because it's the one that I have seen success with within athletes that I've worked with. However, this isn't a system that can be an easy fix because you have to work at this. And the truth is, if your mind's going blank, even being able to keep yourself conscious for 1 to 2 moments during the game is a success because this is something that you have to work on for an extended period of time. And I'll talk about that more later. But the system involves using mindfulness meditation before you actually compete and then having one simple thing to focus on when you do compete. So with the mindfulness meditation part, this is what you'll do first before the game begins. The reason that you want to do this is because when you're blanking out, like I said earlier, we know that your mind is going 1,000 miles a minute. So we need to prime you to have a simpler mind, right? A calmer mind, calm those thoughts down. And mindfulness meditation is one of the best exercises to calm yourself down in the moment. All you need to do is sit down for about 5 to 10 minutes, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. Now, if you do this before the game, we know that before the game, your mind is already racing, more than likely, just like it'll race during the game, which then contributes to this blacking out. So you'll have a lot of racing thoughts, and that is fine. Don't try to force yourself to have no thoughts. Just try to focus on your breathing. Take nice deep breaths, right? Focus on the breathing, and then begin to recognize those thoughts when they come up. And when you recognize those thoughts, try to bring your attention off of them and back onto your breath. And you just want to do this over and over again until the 5 or 10 minutes are up. This by itself can be the exercise that starts to calm your mind down, calm your thinking down, and really helps you stay more conscious as you compete because you aren't thinking about 1,000 different things and your mind is not racing all over the place. So the first part of this system is you need to make sure that you are doing some mindfulness meditation before the game begins. The second part of the system is where you want to give yourself one simple thing to focus on. Now, whenever you are experiencing this blacking out or your mind going blank when you play, once again, it's because your mind is racing and racing and racing and racing. The way that we simplify your thinking is by giving you one thing to focus on. That one thing can be a target, it can be a cue, but it needs to be something that you can control. I was working with an athlete who experienced a lot of anxiety, and she would have her mind go blank whenever she competed. And she saw a lot of success with focusing on simple cues. She would give herself 1 or 2 simple cues to focus on when she played, and by keeping her mind focused on those, she allowed her body to take over. And more importantly, she kept her mind from racing. When you occupy your mind with one simple thought, you keep those negative and those racing thoughts from happening as much. It's not that you are getting rid of those racing thoughts, it's that you are controlling your thinking by giving yourself one simple thing to focus on, so naturally you don't focus and think about 1,000 different things, which ultimately leads to your mind going blank. So what should you focus on? Well, to be honest with you, it'll vary based on your sport. It'll vary based on your position. But some general ideas or some general cues that I've seen success with are focusing on effort. That's a great one if you play a sport where effort is involved, like hockey, soccer, basketball, where you can just focus on sprinting hard, giving full effort, and that really helps. For hitters in baseball, also for tennis players, I've seen success with simply trying to focus on watching the ball. I know that's incredibly simple, but it keeps your mind present and focused on just that one target, which is the ball, which can allow your body to just take over, allow your skills to take over. You could also focus on moving your feet. You could focus on your follow through. You could focus on being vocal, talking to your teammates. The idea is to give your mind something simple and controllable to focus on. What you actually focus on doesn't matter as much, as long as it is something that you can make sure you do when you compete. And you also want to make sure that it's something that helps you play your best. Every one of those examples that I just mentioned is an element of the process of that athlete playing their best during the competition. So once again, this system involves doing some meditation, some mindfulness meditation before you compete. About 5 to 10 minutes, you want to sit down, perform that meditation. And then when you compete, give your mind one simple cue or one simple target to focus on. Now, if you do start finding your mind racing when you compete, your mind starts going all over the place, there's one extra tip that I have for you, and that's to use something known as the ABCs. Now, this is a challenging one because, once again, if your mind's going blank, you don't necessarily know that your mind is going blank until after the game. And that's where you go back and you say, well, I blacked out, my mind went blank, and I don't really remember much, and I played terribly. But if you're trying to focus on one simple thing, and you notice your anxiety increasing, and we know that this anxiety increasing is the cause of you going blank or your mind going blank. Well, if you can notice your anxiety increasing, you want to use something known as the ABCs. The ABCs of anxiety are an exercise or a tool that I like to use where you accept the anxiety you're feeling. So you just talk to yourself and say, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now. I'm not going to fight it. It's all right. Then you use some breathing, so that's the B part. You do some count breathing where you breathe in and out, maybe counting in for 4, out for 4, in for 5, out for 5, and you do this over and over and over again. And then the C part is change your focus. So once more, you want to take your attention off of whatever you are worried about, whatever those anxious thoughts are, and you want to bring your attention back onto your one simple cue or target that you've set for yourself. And that's a great way to mitigate the anxiety you feel if you do start to notice yourself getting anxious during the game. And we know that that anxiety will be the cause of your mind going blank. And then lastly, this has to be an ongoing process, right? Once again, it's not something that you'll apply this system tonight or tomorrow and you'll see an incredible amount of success with. I really hope you do. I really hope you see a ton of success with it. But calming your mind when your mind is going blank due to racing thoughts takes time. So something else that you could do is starting to use the meditation or start to use the meditation on a daily basis, not just before games. You could also start using a self-talk routine or using some visualization to work on imagining yourself playing in a more calm and relaxed state. But when your mind is going blank, we have to see this as a skill that needs to be worked on. You have to work on the skill of being able to calm your focus, calm your thinking, calm your mind, gain more control over what is going on inside your head when you compete, to keep yourself conscious, but not in an overthinking kind of way, but in a simplified thinking kind of way, to where you're not allowing all those racing thoughts to cause your mind to go blank. So in summary, when your mind goes blank when you compete, this is caused by an anxious mind. Your mind is racing all over the place. So our system for this is to use some mindfulness meditation for about 5 to 10 minutes before you compete. And then when you compete, give yourself one simple target or cue to focus on. And then while you're competing, if you do notice yourself getting more anxious, use the ABC method to calm yourself down and refocus back on your one simple cue. If you have any questions about this video or would like me to cover any other sports psychology topic, please let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training.